Welcome to Evolution on the Mic. I am your host, Ariana de la Cruz.
And I'm your co-host, Antoine Dove.
And we are back, y'all. Brand new season 5, The Leader in You, episode 1. What is leadership? In our last episode, we wrapped up season 4, The Power of Positive Thinking. We discussed how positive thoughts helps us to achieve our goals and how important it is to be mindful of our negative thoughts, because our negative thoughts keeps us from achieving the successes we want. But on today's episode, we will be discussing leadership. We will be defining what leadership is and why leadership is so important to why Antoine and I started this podcast. But before we get into all that, Antoine, how are you? How you been?
I'm great. I'm great. As you can see, I still have a bit clutter.
Well, I can't see because you have it kind of blurred out back there, but
yeah, I don't want everybody seeing this mess back here.
I can only imagine what's going on.
Yeah, I don't want everybody seeing this mess back here, so it's blurred. But I promise you, like before this season's over, we will make some changes. I will get all of this finished up. But man, it's crazy how long when you move, how much stuff. And I've only been in this place for 2 years. Like this house I've been in has only been for 2 years. But moving from that and downgrading to like a 1-bedroom apartment, which, you know, is much smaller than where I'm coming from, it's been quite the journey of like unpacking, finding things, trying to be creative and how you utilize the space to still keep everything in. So that's what I've been up to. I've been unpacking my life again. Unpacking.
No worries. We'll have grace on you, Antoine. We'll have grace. I know when I moved, it was very crazy. It took me a while to get it together. I did my best to do it as fast as possible, but you know, you were very gracious. So no worries here. I know that things will definitely get to where it needs to get as far as, you know, the background view and all of that. For now, no problem. You're good to go. But everything else other than that is good.
Yeah, everything else. Yeah, everything else is good. Yeah, things are good.
Awesome.
They're moving along. They're in a good spot, and I'm grateful for that and blessed. What about you? How's things in your world?
Everything is good. Everything is good. I got a little scare with my dog, my puppy Prince. He's 11 years old, but you know, he's my baby. And yeah, he wasn't like feeling good in the last week or so. I took him to the doctor on Friday, and they took some blood and they gave him a vaccination, and he wasn't like being himself all weekend. And I was in a panic because I know my dog, right? I know how he is. He's very routine. I know him. I know how the looks he gives me when he wants something. And he was just being very lethargic to himself, no energy, you know, not really eating his food, things like that. So I started, like, I was like scared all weekend. So today, this morning, the first thing I did was I ran to the vet again. And I'm like, do you guys break my dog on Friday when I brought him here? Fix him. Because he was fine before you know, he was doing okay before I brought him. He wasn't acting like this. And, you know, turns out that his liver levels and his pancreas, what is that word? His pancreas levels were pretty elevated. So they took some urine today, and they're gonna see you know, what it could be. And you know, he's getting older, so I'm hoping that it's not a disease or anything else. Hopefully it's just something that he can take some meds and bring the levels back to normal. So yeah, and like today he's still kind of giving me anxiety. You know, he's being kind of very mellow. He's like crying for no reason, like as he's walking. I think he's in pain. I called my mom and I was like, Mom, you know, this is wrong with Prince. I don't know, he got vaccinated. She was like, he probably has an internal fever. His body hurts because, you know, with kids, when they get vaccinated, you know, sometimes they run a fever and their body aches. And I was like, oh yeah. So I called the doctor again a little while ago, and I got some medication, some anti-inflammatory to give him. And I feel better because I know the meds are here, something that can help him. So I'm grateful for my mom. I'm grateful for you, Antoine, because we were supposed to shoot like an hour and a half ago. But you had grace on me. You allowed me to go and run and get his meds. And, you know, here we are. So I'm doing much better now because I knew that something was wrong, and I know that these medications are going to help because I know he's in some type of pain, and that medication is going to help with that and anything that's inflamed, you know. So I'm doing good though. Now, I was a little frantic, but overall, everything is good. You know, I'm feeling blessed. I'm feeling, you know, just ready. I'm ready for the season. I'm ready for everything that God is going to do, talking about leadership. And, you know, leadership is very like, is a topic that, you know, hits close to my heart because I went and I got a master's in leadership. I'm
No
sure
way.
you know that, Antoine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got my master's in leadership in 2017. So wow, it's been a while now. And it was just something like, how to download on, with God, like, when I think about like, what should we talk about? What should we do? I know me and you, Antoine, we both do that. And this is what he said to discuss. So I know that God has something amazing. So, I just feel pumped and excited to see what God unfolds for the both of us and for, everyone watching about the leader in you and, what is leadership and all of that. So I think it's important though to start with defining leadership, right? Because we might have all misconceptions of what leadership is. Like we might think we know, but it's important to get a grasp on that. So that's like the first thing that I feel that we feel compelled to talk about. So I'm gonna kind of give you the book description of what leadership is, and then kind of, me and Antoine can kind of give us our own little 2 cents of, what leadership means to us. But, the book definition is basically leadership is the ability to guide and inspire people to work together towards a shared goal. It means
Mm-hmm.
having a vision for the future and motivating others to make that vision a reality. Good leaders communicate well, show kindness and honesty, and can adapt to different situations. Leadership can happen in many places, like schools, sports teams, or clubs. In the end, effective leaders build trust and help others grow while working towards success together. In smaller words, leadership is your ability to lead people towards a common goal. That's all that leadership is. It's someone that has a vision, or someone that sees a problem and they want to be able to fix that problem. And as we know, we cannot do things on our own, right? As we know, we need community. We need other people to come in and help, right? Like if you're growing a company, don't, maybe in the beginning you're on your own, but after a while you're gonna need some people. You're gonna need to motivate and inspire some people towards the goal of your company to get them to do certain things to grow the company, right? And for them to stick by the company for years and years and years, and have them just feel like they're a part of something, right? Like they have purpose in that company because they know the vision and the mission of that company, that the owner, the person that is trying to make this vision come to reality, they're there to help them make that happen. So that's all that leadership is just, someone that has a vision, someone that sees a problem, and they motivate and inspire other people to work together to make that happen. Does that make sense, Anton? Any thoughts you have about
Yeah. Oh,
leadership,
it makes a lot of
defining it?
sense. Yeah, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's simple in nature, right? In that it's, the ability to lead people towards a common goal. But I was really just listening to the words that you were going through as you were describing it, because I think there's certain words that jump out at you. Like the word guide jumps out at me. I don't think we always consider a leader to be a guide. When we think of a leader, we kind of see, at least for myself, I'll speak for myself, I tend to have this image of this person that is at the forefront and everyone's kind of looking to them for direction, right? And that in nature is a guide, but sometimes I think a guide doesn't get um enough love when you think about a leader, because when I think of guide, that person is almost moving you along. They're helping you to see and navigate. A guide is helping you to navigate things, navigate life. And then the vision was something else that jumped out at me, because I think that's so important when we think of leaders. We want to follow people who have a vision, or a vision that we either subscribe to, we agree, we align with. And when we have those feelings of someone who shares a common vision as us, we want to follow them. And so I think it's timely that we talk about leadership, because in today's age, right, you have Instagram people, all kinds of influencers who some would call leaders. And I think it'd be interesting to kind of even evaluate those. Like, are they leaders? Are they leading the
Yeah.
way?
Yeah, we're definitely going to be going through a lot of that, like what it takes to be a leader. Is there good or bad leaders, the different types of leadership styles, right? We're going to definitely be going to, that's why we have a whole season about it. But I like what you said, Antoine, about that leader's guide, right? And I want to say that leaders, they guide, but they guide by role modeling, by modeling the way. right? So that's huge when you're a leader. Yes, you might be, maybe you do like a training modules and you're like, hey, do this step by step. But the best way to lead people is by being what you need others to do. When you are that, and you walk it, you breathe it, you talk the talk, and people can see that, they will then, over time, these seeds will be planted of what it takes, and they start behaving that way, talking in that way. They just start acting the way that you do. So a great leader, they model the way, right? And they guide you towards the success that shared you want to have. So they're very good at that. They're very good at identifying with different types of people, right? Because not everybody's the same. Not everybody learns the same. Not everybody thinks the same. But they have an innate ability to just work with different types of people and know how to motivate and inspire and guide, and how to share the vision so everybody gets pumped and excited. Like, I'm on board. Like, I want some of that. I want to be a part of that, because ultimately we all want to be a part of something. Ultimately, we all want to feel like I'm in my purpose, right? And you might be the one creating the purpose, but for some people, you might be the one that partakes in the purpose of another person, right? And they're both equally good, because you need one with the other. Not everyone has the vision, or not everyone can be the visionary, and that's okay. Because some of us, what would happen if everybody was just a visionary and not the people to make that vision come to life? But we all want to be a part of something, right? And that brings us to the next point, which is, why did we choose to talk about leadership in this season with this podcast? And, you guys, as you know, our tagline, uniting great minds and the leaders of the future, we came up with that divinely by God, right? Like, he wants us to unite great minds and the leaders of the future. But the only way that we can truly unite the leaders of the future is by creating leaders, or by having people, everyday people that may or may not see themselves as a leader, understand what leadership is, right? And plant these seeds, right? Because this is not something that may happen overnight, but we want to plant the seed, and we want to plant it of, what is leadership? What does it take to be a leader? What are the different styles of leadership? And for everyone that's watching to find the leader in them, because anyone can be a leader. Anyone at any age can be a leader. Leadership is about choice. Leadership is about responsibility, right? Because ultimately, you will be responsible for a cause. You will be responsible to bring a vision into reality, right? And be responsible for other people in helping you bring everything come together and come to life, right? So that's all that it really takes, is a choice to have this responsibility. It's a choice to, do I want to or do I not? But the thought of, can anyone be a leader? Of course, right? Which we're gonna dive deeper into that in our next episodes. But for today, we really just want to hone in on what is leadership, right? And have you guys really understand the reasons that we felt compelled to talk about this, right? Because it's just very important for us to have you guys understand what it is, see yourself in this, and hopefully, birth something beautiful in yourselves, that you can do it. It's just a choice if you want to or not, right? And that's what we're going to leave you with at the end of this whole season, is now is your choice. Now you're equipped. Now you understand, and you know the styles, and you know what it takes and what it means. And now it's just going to be a choice. Like, do I want to step up to the plate? And that reminds me of this video that I actually saw while I was getting my master's in leadership in 2017, as I mentioned. And this was like one of the first classes that I had in my first semester. Again, like, I didn't know what leadership was. I had no idea what it meant. I had no idea who could be a leader. I just know that God called me to get my master's in leadership, and I did. Right. I always thought that I would get my master's in like social work or something like that. But God said get it in leadership. So I'm very grateful that he did, because I have this knowledge and all the seeds that were planted in me. And again, they didn't come out right away. Right. I didn't believe these things right off the bat. Right. Even graduating, I still didn't fully see myself as someone that can, like, that God that can be it and that can show it, and that would say yes to the opportunities, that would say yes to the responsibility. It took time for me. So y'all do not, be hard on yourselves if after all this, you're still trying to, grasp it, because God has us here for a reason, and if you're watching this for a reason, and something will shift from this. Okay, so there's a video that I saw again when I was getting my master's, and it was a TED talk of this young girl, and the funny thing is that video has so much impact. It made so much impact in my life as far as what a leader is, and like it doesn't matter the age, or what I mean, it's just about a choice. But I thought it was important for us to watch this video, because I'm hoping that it has the same impact on you as it had for me, about seeing the leader in me, and that I can do that too, or I want to do that, right? It's a desire, and it sparked, and I never forgot it. All these years later, when we decided to talk about leadership, the first thing I told Antoine is, I want to make sure that I show this video. And me and Antoine were trying to find it a few days ago, and all I remembered, it was a young girl. I thought she had a red dress. I know she was talking about something with leadership, and I don't know. I don't remember the topic, but we found it. Me and Anton found it. Yep. Within like minutes. It wasn't even a long time. I don't know how, y'all, but we found it. So I know that it was meant for me, for us to showcase this video, have you guys see it. It's about 10 to 12 minutes long. It might start off a little slow, but I just bear with us, watch the whole thing, and I hope that it has an impact on you as it has on us. Check it out.
The video you are watching was created and produced by Ted. We are using this video for education purposes only. This video is not a production of the Evolution on the Mic Podcast, LLC.
I'll begin today by sharing a poem written by my friend from Malawi, Eileen Pili. Eileen is only 13 years old. But when we were going through the collection of poetry that we wrote, I found her poem so interesting, so motivating. So I'll read it to you. She entitled her poem, I'll Marry When I Want. I'll marry when I want. My mother can't force me to marry. My father cannot force me to marry. My uncle, my aunt, my brother or sister cannot force me to marry. No one in the world can force me to marry. I'll marry when I want. Even if you beat me, even if you chase me away, even if you do anything bad to me, I'll marry when I want. I'll marry when I want, but not before I am well educated, and not before I am all grown up. I'll marry when I want. This poem might seem odd, written by a 13-year-old girl. But where I and Eileen come from, this poem, which I have just read to you, is a warrior's cry. I am from Malawi. Malawi is one of the poorest countries, very poor, where gender equality is questionable. Growing up in that country, I couldn't make my own choices in life. I couldn't even explore personal opportunities in life. I will tell you the story of two different girls, two beautiful girls. These girls grew up under the same roof. They were eating the same food. Sometimes they would share clothes and even shoes. But their lives ended up differently in two different paths. The other girl is my little sister. My little sister was only 11 years old when she got pregnant. It's a hurtful thing. Not only did it hurt her, even me, I was going through a hard time as well. As it is in my culture, once you reach puberty stage, you are supposed to go to initiation camps. In these initiation camps, you are taught how to sexually please a man. There is this special day, which they call Vele Special Day, where a man who is hired by the community comes to the camp and sleeps with the little girls. Imagine the trauma that these young girls go through every day. Most girls end up pregnant. They even contract HIV and AIDS and other sexual transmitted diseases. For my little sister, she ended up being pregnant. Today, she's only 16 years old, and she has 3 children. Her first marriage did not survive, nor did her second marriage. On the other side, there is this girl. She's amazing. I call her amazing because she is. She's very fabulous. That girl is me. When I was 13 years old, I was told, you are grown up. You have now reached of age. You're supposed to go to the initiation camp. I was like, what? I'm not gonna go to the initiation camps. You know what the women said to me? You are a stupid girl, stubborn. You do not respect the traditions of our society, of our community. I said no because I knew where I was going. I knew what I wanted in life. I had a lot of dreams as a young girl. I wanted to get well educated, to find a decent job in future. I was imagining myself a lawyer seated on on that big chair. Those were the imaginations that were going through in my mind every day. And I knew that one day I would contribute something, a little something to my community. But every day after refusing, women would tell me, look at you, you're all grown up. Your little sister has a baby. What about you? Those were the music that I was hearing every day. And those are the music that girls hear every day when they don't do something that the community needs them to do. When I compared the 2 stories between me and my sister, I said, why can't I do something? Why can't I change something that has happened for a long time in our community? That was when I called other girls, just like my sister, who has children who have been in class, but they've forgotten how to read in light. I said, come on, we can remind each other how to read in light again, how to hold the pen, how to read, to hold the book. It was a great time I had with them. Nor did I just learn a little about them, but they were able to tell me their personal stories, what they were facing every day as young mothers. That was when I was like, why can't we take all these that are happening to us and present them and tell our mothers, our traditional leaders, that these are the wrong things? It was a scary thing to do because these traditional leaders, they are already accustomed to the things that have been there for ages. A hard thing to change, but a good thing to try. So we tried. It was very hard, but we pushed. And I'm here to say that in my community, it was the first community after girls pushed so hard to our traditional leader, and our leader stood up for us and said, no girl has to be married off before the age of 18. In my community, that was the first time a community, they had to call the bylaws the first bylaw that protected girls in our community. We did not stop there. We forged ahead. We were determined to fight for girls, not just in my community, but even in other communities. When the child marriage bill was being presented in February, we were there at the Parliament House. Every day, when the members of Parliament were entering, we were telling them, would you please support the bill? And we don't have much technology like here, but we have our smartphones. So we said, why can't we get their numbers and text them? So we did that. It was a good thing. So when the bill passed, we texted them back, thank you for supporting the bill. And when the bill was assigned by the president, making it into law, it was a plus. Now in Malawi, 18 is the legal marriage age from 15 to 18. It's a good thing to know that the bill passed. But let me tell you this. There are countries where 18 is the legal marriage age. But don't we hear cries of women and girls every day? Every day, girls' lives are being wasted away. This is the high time where leaders honor their commitment. In honoring this commitment, it means keeping girls' issues at heart every time. We don't have to be subjected at second, but they have to know that women, as we are in this room, we are not just women. We are not just girls. We are extraordinary. We can do more. And another thing for Malawi, and not just Malawi, but other countries, the laws which are there. You know how a law is not a law until it is enforced. The law which has just recently passed and the laws that in other countries have been there, they need to be publicized at local level, at community level, where girls' issues are very striking. Girls face issues, difficult issues at community level every day. So if these young girls know that there are laws that protect them, they'll be able to stand up and defend themselves because they will know that there is a law that protects them. And another thing I would say is that girls' voices and women's voices are beautiful. They are there, but we cannot do this alone. Male advocates, they have to jump in, to step in and work together. It's a collective work. What we need is what girls elsewhere need, good education, and above all, not to marry whilst 11. And furthermore, I know that together we can transform the legal or the cultural and political framework that deny girls of their rights. I am standing here today and declare that we can end child marriage in a generation. This is the moment where a girl and millions of girls worldwide will be able to say, I will marry when I want.
I'm so glad that we found that video. I hope you, to Arya's point, I hope you guys found that as powerful as it was for us. And when I first watched it with Arya, because I hadn't seen this, guy, so this was my first time watching it with Ari. I think what really jumped out at me was one, the age, right? This young girl who had made a choice to be different and stand up said so much. First of all, it kind of reminds me of my daughter. My daughter is such a, I say a bit of a defector. Like, she doesn't want to follow the status quo. She kind of wants to beat to the beat of her own drum. And I encourage that in her because I think it's beautiful to see her becoming the person who she wants. But it's amazing how when you look at this one young girl who was surrounded by so many influential people in her life. I mean, the mothers of the village, the other women of the village who I'm sure she looked up to, and they were all telling her that she needed to just conform to something that she did not believe in. And she didn't conform, just says so much about what we were saying before about making a choice. It all starts with a choice. And for me, that in this video, that was the part that kept ringing in my ear from a leadership perspective is we all have a choice. And the leaders, they have to sometimes make hard choices or make choices that are completely off the beaten path of everyone else. And initially, people will see that as you not following the status quo, you being different. In some ways, people may even pick on you or make you feel like something's wrong with you. But going back to what we talked about around like the leader being a guide and having the vision, the reason people pick on you is because they can't see the vision that you see. And what I loved about this girl in this episode, in this video, was that she saw a vision, she believed in her vision, she leaned into her vision, and as she continued to talk about her vision in a way that showed that she believed it deeply and she was ready to make a change and she wanted to take action, slowly and steadily she started to draw the crowd. She started to draw the people, you know, that wanted to come in and be a part of it. And she took action in a way that left a profound impact on her community and changed a tradition. Like, again, this is a tradition. It's not like it was something that they just so haphazardly did. It was a tradition. It was ingrained in their society. She changed something just by having a vision for something more, for wanting to give women a voice, wanting women to feel like they had a say. And I don't know, it's just extremely powerful to me. And I'm so glad you shared that.
When in the video they said, like, you know, the bill was passed, right, so that young girls below a certain age, you know, don't have to get married. Like, it changed from the age of 15 to 18. That struck me. Like, a bill was passed. Like, this 13-year-old had a vision for her life and for the life of other young girls, right? She was like, I want to be well educated. Like, I want to marry the person that I want to marry. Like, so before she turned 13, like, she had this vision, right? The vision, but it wasn't only for herself. Leaders are not selfish. Leaders have a vision, but it's also for other people. It's mainly for the purpose of building up other people, for making things better for other people, creating something that other people can enjoy, right? And that is what she did. And that was so impactful for me. Like, when that bill got passed in that community, and then she was like, you know, we're going to take this on and we're going to do it in other communities and in other countries that still might have that law. It's like, but she did something for her people, like for her community. And it starts there. You don't have to start big. Like, well, if I'm only going to do it in my community, it's not worth it if I'm not going to change it globally. But you have to start somewhere. You have to start with your community. That's one, right? And she did that. So for me, that was huge, that her vision of you know, having, you know, children below a certain age, not get married, and having that happen, no longer happen to other people in her village. Just the passion that she had to bring other people together to help her with that, right? The mothers that were young, that had young kids and went through what they went through. She heard all of their stories. She connected with them. She bonded with them, right? And she said, we're going to change this. And then she got a whole bunch of them together. And, you know, the people in the village had no other choice but to just say, okay, you know, majority wins. Like, you guys did your due diligence here, and something had to change because she did not let down, right? She kept her voice. She did not say, well, because I'm young, I can make this happen. And it doesn't matter, you know what I mean, if you're young and you can make it happen, you know. But on the flip side of that, can we imagine a life if this girl did not take that action? Can we imagine for those people in that community? Like, can we imagine what would have happened to her, to other people to this day? Right? That video was from 2015. That video was when me and Antoine, when we looked it up, from 2015. Like, that's almost a decade later. Can you imagine 10 years later if this one young girl didn't have this strong, powerful vision and the courage to say, yes, I'm going to do something about it. The courage to just make that choice. The courage to accept responsibility on making that happen and not taking no for an answer. And that's all that, you know, leadership is. Like, you just don't take no for an answer. You're going to keep trying and trying and trying. Like, you're going to get resourceful. You're going to get other people on board, right? But it takes a community. It didn't take just her. It took a bunch of girls that went through that were like, enough is enough. Like, we do not want this to be this way. Just because it's always been this way does not mean that it has to continue being this way. Change can happen. We can amend this to make it just a little bit better for the girls to make their own choices. So I just hope that, you know, guys, that really did something to you guys, to see that it doesn't matter the age, to see that this young girl just took action. She just made a choice and she accepted the responsibility that came from that. You know, she had a vision and she made it happen. And that can be in anything that we want, in anything that we want to do, right? Whether in our personal life, in our career, in our spiritual life, financial, with anything that we want for ourselves, and how we want to impact other people through those things, right? Because if we're getting better, it's I hope that it's to also get other people, to teach other people, or to make a way for other people so that they can have it a little easier, because you've done the work, right? You've done what you had to do, and then you got other people to join you, and you know, you can make something out of nothing. And it can be with anything. It can be something small, it can be something big, but it's possible for all of us. And you know, with this episode, I think that was like the main thing that we wanted to relay, right? Is what leadership is, why is important for us to talk about leadership in the podcast, and you know, to have you guys see it in real life, in real time, with this young girl. Because you know, this video is going to kind of be the foundation of all our episodes and everything we're going to do on what she did, because it was very major and very impactful, and it showcased a lot for all of us. Like, none of us should have any excuses of why we think we can't lead. Nobody. You know, again, it's just a choice. Yeah, I know this kind of was a short one. You know, we wanted to make sure that we condensed these episodes to make sure that you guys grasp what we're trying to say without jumping into a whole bunch of different things and start right away talking about the styles of leadership and all these other things that we want to display for you guys and teach you guys. But I hope you guys got a lot out of it. I hope you understand what leadership is, understand why we think it's important to talk about this in this episode. And I really, really hope that you got something out of that video. As I mentioned, is going to be the foundation of every other episode to follow. But as usual, y'all, if you have any thoughts, comments, or anything you'd like to share, we'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below. And with that, thank you for tuning in. Until our next episode, always remember that having faith in God, having faith in yourself, and having faith in others will create the evolution that you are seeking.